Welcome back. We're exploring the controversy surrounding concussions and how they're handled in sports. Joining me now is a man who's done extensive research into the subject of head injuries. Dr. Paul Echlin, welcome to Listen Up.
Thank you for having me on.
This all began in your normal duties as a doctor, primary care specialist, sports medicine specialist. What did you see that you said, this is it, I've had it?
Well, it was also because I've been a team physician for 10 years at the junior level. And I saw these injuries occurring at a more regular interval, and I saw these kids coming through, both young men and young women, through my clinic with these injuries, sometimes with permanent impairment. And then seeing the reluctance of the sporting community to take action on it, I did.
Okay, so you began this study which showed the concussion rate among our young people in sport was 7 times higher than we had previously thought.
That was the result, and we also found that we had observers as well as physician observer. We found that 80% were purposeful that caused these injuries, and 69% were to the head. So those are pretty significant numbers.
And what has gone on inside the brain when they've had that kind of hit?
Well, concussion, to take you through it, you know, the brain is floating in fluid, which is cerebral spinal fluid, inside a hard casing, which is a skull. When you get a force against the head or a force transmitted through the body, the brain jiggles or moves rapidly. This causes nerve damage. It causes the membranes around the nerve cells to be disrupted. The brain goes into a loss of what's called a hypometabolism, or loss of energy. And all these symptoms that are resulting, such as the dizziness, blurred vision, balance, concentration, the result is because of this what's called a neurometabolic cascade. That's a lot of words, but it means that the basic way that the function of the brain has been changed.
Okay, so there's talk about protection. Your study has got us talking about helmets, about hits. Mm-hmm. What will it take to start protecting us? Is it baseline testing?
Well, baseline testing is important, but only if it's accompanied by appropriate and well-trained physicians that know how to utilize it, know how to do it pre and post-injury, and that there's compliance after the information is distributed to both the patient, their parents, the coaches, and the sports community. So it's not just as simple as a test or a helmet, which there's no concussion-proof helmet and there's no concussion-proof mouth guard. It is a cultural issue about the number of these hits to the head and getting rid of the hits to the head.
Okay, so how would you suggest we do that?
Well, I mean, you have to get enough education to the sporting community to understand that a concussion is a serious brain injury. It's not just a incidental injury that has no long-term effects. The worst effect can be death. The others can be chronic impairment of your ability to concentrate, ability to function. I have many young kids that come in and they're taken out of high school, they're taken out of university. It disrupts their social lives, it disrupts everything because they can no longer function as they used to.
And is the culture ready for this now? Like, it's been an incredible wake-up of a year. I mean, 86% of Canadians say they saw that, they know that Pacioretty hit that's got us all talking.
Well, I mean, that's once. You know, Steve Moore, which happened several years ago, he fractured his spine as well. This is not a new thing. You know, we've had deaths as a result. Don Sanderson, 2 years ago, in a hockey fight. His mother is still grieving. I mean, these are names, Ben Finelli. I mean, these are names that should be remembered and talked about. It's not a new thing. And that the underlying accepted violence, which is an intent to injure, exists, and we have to change that.
You say your medical team has tackled this like a pit bull and said, we're going to get something done on this. Why is it such a hard push?
Because of the resistance. I mean, there's resistance at every level, from the executive of hockey clubs down to the parent. I mean, it's just an amazing, it's been an amazing journey as far as learning the significant resistance to change, and change for the better, change to protect your child.
So give us some advice then for parents who do say, I want to make sure my kid is safer on our team.
I mean, take the responsibility, as you said. I mean, it's everybody's responsibility. You know, I had a young patient that sustained a concussion. His father phoned both myself and Charles Tatter, who's a neurosurgeon in Toronto. What do? I thought something was wrong. I saw the injury. I went down to the bench and took him out of the game. he was going to be put back into play. He took the responsibility to say, look, this is my son. I don't care. I know something's wrong. I'm going to get him out of the game. And he did. And then he came to us, and it was a concussion. So
what would you like to recommend for all sports on this issue of concussions?
Well, we need to look at them. We don't need many more. You know, we're going to do more studies, but that's not the end all. The end all is taking the responsibility to look for these injuries. We've got now objective tests as a starting point. We've got the international consensus on this. We need to have the acceptance that it is a serious brain injury, and we know that hits to the head, especially repetitive concussions, can cause lifetime impairment. So we need to take action and to get rid of intentional, unintentional hits to the head, all fights, because they're intentional hits to the head, and they're not entertainment. These cause brain injury.
All right. Well, Dr. Paul Echlin, Canada's leading expert on head concussions, thank you for doing your study. It's a wake-up call.
Thank you for having me on.
All right. When we return, 6 concussions were part of his determination that scored the goal that reverberated around the globe. But now Paul Henderson thinks there's a better way to play the game. We find out about that next.
If it's a fair check, I got no problem with that. But when it's along the boards or something like that, the game is over, he doesn't have the puck. I got a serious problem with that.